Hi, everyone. Just wanted to say hello, and I hope you all are doing well. Um, this is just a quick message to let you know what I'm planning to do for our courses for the rest of the semester. I know technically app has only said that through March 31st we'll be going online, but my presumption is that it will be longer than that. So I've gone ahead and started the process of updating syllabi and assignments and things with that assumption in mind. So either way, I am changing the course schedules a bit and the expectations. This message is for both my EPI and biostat students this semester. So obviously there will be differences for each of your classes, but overall I am moving everything online, which for me means that I will be posting some recordings. So I'll do some short recordings like this and post them to YouTube and put the links on the class website. So I wanted to start with this one to make sure you could access it and let me know as soon as possible if you can't. I also will be posting some readings, so PDFs essentially, or links to websites, so go ahead and check those too. Make sure that you can get to those. If you don't have internet access or you don't have high speed access or you're only using your phone to access these things and that creates a hardship for you, please just let me know as soon as possible so we can try to figure out some kind of alternate arrangement. Because right now I don't know what that would look like, but we can come up with something. I also will continue to post chapter readings for both classes. So hopefully you have your textbooks with you, but if not, you can complete all the remaining assignments and activities without the book. It just gives you more background information. So um, yeah, hopefully that works out. Let's see. So for specific class things, like I said, I'll be connecting with you all through As You Learn and put information up for both class sites. The other thing I want to mention and be clear about right now is that I'm not planning to do this synchronously, which means I am not going to require you to be available, via Zoom or something during our scheduled class time. So this will basically be, you'll still have deadlines, you'll have assignments that are due at certain times. For my biostat students, you'll be taking quizzes. There will be a window during which the quiz is open and you'll have a certain amount of time to take it once you start it. So that's the way that will be set up. So essentially it's somewhat self-paced within the parameters that I give you. Basically every week or so, you'll have some kind of activity that you need to do to submit, an assignment or a quiz, just to demonstrate that you're keeping up with the material and that you understand it. But again, we won't, right now I'm not planning to do any meetings, kind of live at the same time when our class would normally meet. Let's see. I think that's all of the general announcements for class. Other things I want to mention, I am in Boone, so I'm around, but given the current recommendations, I'm in my office right now, but I'm not planning to be here most of the time, not planning to hold office hours. So Zoom is really the best way to chat with me if you want to talk live. So just send me an email and I can send you the Zoom link. If you look at my calendar right now, it looks like I'm available anytime, which is not completely true because, as most of you know, I have a child and I also have a spouse who teaches here at the university. And given that there is no childcare currently, no schools are open, that means we're doing it at home. We don't have any family here. So I'm essentially only available about part-time right now because of childcare. So even if my calendar says I'm free, I may not actually be free. So just send me an email and we can figure out a time to meet. I also want to recognize that a lot of you may be dealing with new or additional caregiving responsibilities. So those of you who already had a child or children or family member, friend who you were taking care of, it's probably a little more complicated right now than it usually is. And for those of you who didn't have any responsibilities before, you may be at home and you may be developing those responsibilities. So just keep in touch. Just let me know if you're not going to be able to meet deadlines, if things get more complicated. Just keep in touch. I'm happy to make things flexible, but I also don't want you to put off a bunch of work until the end of the semester. And so that's part of the reason I'm keeping deadlines and helping keep us on track. Okay, from a public health perspective, this is clearly I would consider now a public health crisis. Obviously, last week, the first week of your first week of spring break was when the WHO declared this to be a pandemic. I'm recording this on Tuesday, March 17th, and just in the last 24 hours, the US has made substantially stronger recommendations around social distancing and limiting contact and interaction with each other. So, in one sense, it's kind of an interesting time to be talking about things like epidemiology and biostatistics because we're seeing it unfold in real time. I've posted on both class websites an article that the Washington Post put out that has some modeling for why and how social distancing kind of works. I think it's a nice illustration of why we should all be trying to stay home as much as possible, stay away from other people. So I recommend you take a look at that if you haven't already seen it. Also want to remind you that even though most of you, I assume, are pretty low risk since you're all pretty young and seem to be relatively healthy, the recommendations, of course, are to prevent the spread more broadly to other people. So this is a time, like most times, like most things we talk about in public health, it's not just about us as individuals, it's also about us thinking about the other people around us in our communities and trying to really blunt the angle of the epidemic curve. So, it could be very steep if we have a lot of rapid transmission, and it will last for longer, but we potentially can save more lives if we can kind of bend that curve. I also want to mention that I've seen a lot of people wash their hands on TV, and although I think it's gotten better over the last month or so, a lot of world leaders, TV personalities don't quite do it correctly. So just make sure that as you're washing your hands more, that you're washing all of your hands. So doing this is not very helpful. You got to get in between your fingers, and if you have a ring on, make sure you move it and get underneath it too. So all of your hands, every part of your hand is what you want to be washing. The last thing I want to say is that in this time that's kind of hectic and stressful and different than our usual lives, I do want to encourage you to make sure you make time to take care of yourselves. It's a good time potentially to kind of reflect on what's important. What do you really need to do versus what's kind of optional. And if you need some help or some tools to do that, I do want to mention I'd already linked to the Koru mindfulness class that's offered on campus on all of the class websites. And those are now being offered online, so you can register on Wellness and Prevention's website if you want to take it kind of live via Zoom with other people. And there is an unclass version where it's self-paced. That version does cost $4. The other one is free. And the $4 is just to pay for access to the app. So the Koru has its own app that does guided meditations and things. So if you are interested and have trouble accessing either of those, let me know. But there's a link to Wellness and Prevention's page on each course website at the bottom under events and resources. So I think that's it. Also, use Zoom, use your phones to keep in touch with family and friends, even if you can't see them in person. Make sure you keep some social connections up so that you don't start to feel too isolated. And be in touch. Let me know if you have questions, issues, problems, or if you just want to say hey. And hopefully I'll see you all sometime soon. Take care.